Awesome. We are live. Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm super excited about our chat today. I have with me today Robert Garland. He is the CEO of Fund the First. Fund the First is a really new crowdfunding platform designed for the military community and first responders. And Robert's going to tell us a little bit about who he is and about his own background. And my phone is not on silent. Sorry, guys. All right. He's going to tell us a little bit about his own background and then why he founded Fund the First, and then we'll talk about the platform and how you can successfully jump on Fund the First and do a crowdfunding platform campaign for yourself or for your business. Robert, why don't you tell us a little bit about your own background?
Sure, Jamie, thank you so much for having me and everyone listening. Thank you. I'm actually an NYPD detective. I'm still active in the NYPD of 13 years. I spent the majority of my career in narcotics, but I had an injury recently about a year ago. So I'm out of narcotics and I'm working in the 13th Precinct Detective Squad and I handle missing persons. So it's an eventful career, but I also have a business and that's Fund the First. And at Fund the First, what we've developed is the nation's leading verified crowdfunding platform for first responders, military, and medical professionals. So I'm sure everyone's aware of different platforms such as GoFundMe, Indiegogo, Kickstarter, and there's all different ways for people to raise money. But we wanted to provide a trusted and safe resource for our nation's heroes to raise money without having to worry about common scams and fraud that are seen on some of these platforms. And for example, there was a detective last winter, Detective Joseph Seals, in New Jersey. He was killed in the line of duty. And unfortunately, when he was killed, about 6 crowdfunding campaigns went up in his name. Now, those crowdfunding campaigns, they were all collecting money, which is great for the family. But who are the people collecting the money? Where was the money actually going to? Was his family actually receiving those funds? So that's the issue that we wanted to address. And there's a longer story to this, which I'll get into in a moment. But this is where we've come to fruition of Fund the First. And at Fund the First, you could come to our platform. Anybody can start a campaign. You could raise money for illness, surgery, death, catastrophic loss, a good cause like a toy drive, or even equipment for a department. There's plenty of departments nationwide that don't have the proper funding to be able to raise money. So they need to go out and crowdfund or do fundraisers. Nonprofits can also come to our platform and we verify the nonprofit and we make sure that the money that is being raised only goes to that nonprofit. So if you don't have a military, first responder, or medical professional background, anybody can come and say that they want to do a fundraiser for, let's say, the Wounded Warrior Project. And then those funds will only go to the Wounded Warrior Project. And then also we have a feature on our platform for business ventures. So people, if you have a business that you're trying to start, for instance, there's a campaign on our platform called Ready to Eat Crayons, and it's a military campaign, and it's really cool. I contributed to this because I think it's something that my kids will love, so I did it. But what he developed is edible crayons, and you could draw with these crayons, and he has a tier structure. So if you donate X amount, you get X amount of crayons. Another tier structure, you get a different amount, and so on. So it's a really cool feature that we have on the platform. To date, we launched July of 2020. We've been in the media close to about 75 times already, which has really helped our reach nationwide. And we're now approaching just over $900,000 raised through about 130 campaigns. So the average campaign raise, based on those metrics, raises about $9,000, but it's all in the power of the share. So when you start one of these fundraising campaigns, you have to share it with your networks, friends, and family to make sure that they're aware that you're in need for whatever it may be, or someone else is in need for whatever it may be. So the uniqueness of the platform is not just the verification. Well, it is the verification. It's the part that we're partnered with ID.me. And I'm sure in the military community, everyone knows about ID.me, which is great. It's used for multiple discounts at different websites. But what we're able to do is now integrate their platform into ours and verify the beneficiary status of every campaign. So it's really unique, it's really special, and it's all about trust. And where this came from was actually out of a hardship, and it's really unfortunate. While I was working in narcotics, one of my closest friends, Jason, his daughter was born a twin, 2 days apart from my second child. And it's always fun to go through milestones. And unfortunately, his daughter Callie was not hitting her milestones. And it was really sad to see him, struggling through a medical and financial hardship, and his daughter being diagnosed with a very rare disease called Alexander disease. I mentioned to Jason, I said, let's get you on one of these platforms and raise money. And he was very, very hesitant to do it. He did not want to raise money because he was afraid of someone else cross country using his hardship to their benefit. So that's where the plan of Fund the First really came together to really allow for our nation's heroes to have this trusted resource to raise money without having to worry about anything. Now, Jason's daughter, Callie, she tragically passed away last year. On Saturday will be 1 year of her anniversary passing. And it was really difficult. You know, we did an initial fundraiser for them and we're able to raise on our platform $15,000, which is great. But it's not about the money in that instance when something like that happens. It's actually about the support system that comes in with that money that they're raising. And that's what people need in a time of tragedy. So that's basically our platform. It's great. You know, I love spreading awareness for it and answering any questions that anybody has. And our goal is really to be a household name, so no one has to worry about fraud and scams.
Well, I appreciate everything all the thought that you've put in behind this, because I get personally suspicious whenever I see these other crowdfunding platforms, because you're right. You never know who's on the receiving end of that, or if they're making something up. And unless you maybe personally and directly know that individual and can text them or something and verify that they're the one that set it up, you just aren't sure, because there's been no tried and true way to vet folks on those platforms that we know of. So I appreciate everything and all of the thought and energy that you poured into Fund the First. And what's really cool, if you're listening, you know, as you know, I reach a lot of military spouses, and because they use ID.me at Fund the First, military spouses are able to utilize this platform and get vetted as well. So can you tell me about your own experience? You're an NYPD detective, right? Tell us about how you got mingled together with the military spouses in your life. I know that you have one working for you, at least. I've met her before, Ashton. So yeah. Talk about your relationship with that and how we came onto your radar. I'm just curious.
Yeah, so Ashton, she's a military spouse. We originally, when we were starting Fund the First, we wanted to go the nonprofit route. And what happened was the IRS denied us as a nonprofit. And which is fine. We're allowed to be, now we're able to get people even maximum amount of money, which is great. But they denied us because crowdfunding isn't really recognized. What happens with a nonprofit, you're raising money for a whole, right? It's not just for an individual. So that's what we do on a platform, which is really, really special. But when we started this process, I actually got in touch with Ashton's husband, Brandon. And we were thinking about, you know, we wanted to build a military community around the whole process, and her husband's in the military. And he wanted to be part of it from the get-go. And then his wife was so into the platform, she really wanted to come on board and make a difference for the military spouse community. And she has a mobile application as well, Organized Chaos. She's doing some great things for the military spouse community. And she grew into the role of chief operating officer with us, and it's great. You know, she does great for the community. It's great to have her on board to be able to connect with people like you and networks like you have.
That's awesome. Well, I'm just curious how that all came to be, because it seems like if you're in the first responder community, you know, it maybe isn't exactly related to the military community. I'm sure there's a large amount of veterans that serve in the police force as well, but it just seemed like a wonky, how did this actually happen? How'd you get connected with a military spouse as your COO? So that's pretty cool. All right, Let's talk about, if I wanted to come on Fund the First, no matter who I am, no matter what reason I'm on the platform, what are some tips that you may have to drive a successful fundraising campaign on Fund the First?
So number one is the power of the share. So after creating your campaign, you have to share it. You know, taking that campaign link, texting it to your friends, family, and their networks, texting it, putting it up on social media, whatever it may be. If you could contact the local news station for the fundraiser. And the power of the ask. I mean, we all have a certain sense of pride, right? And we never want to ask for help necessarily. But just sending out that link isn't enough. People see a link and they say, what's this? I'm not going to click it. You know, but now with that link, when they see, please donate and share, then it gets their mind going and says, okay, what is this actually about? You know, and then if you take it a step further, please donate and share because XYZ is suffering from cancer. Then it's, okay, I'm going to click this now and I'm going to see what it is. You know, and then a step further, please donate and share. This is a verified and trusted platform. You don't have to worry about where the money's going. You know, so that's really important too. Campaigns having a real strong picture, something clear. is very good. It helps the campaigns. Having a strong title that's quick and to the point, not just I'm raising money, more so of what exactly is happening. For instance, if you had an oil spill in your backyard, my oil tank exploded, please help, something like that. So making sure that's clear. And then the story doesn't have to be long. About 300 words is perfect. It's perfect. 2 paragraphs is perfect. When you tend to have a gigantic story, people don't read the whole thing. They want to know exactly what happened in that moment and why they're donating. If they start having to read all these things, then they, it shies them away sometimes. So those are definitely important tips to making your campaign successful.
That's great. Thanks. I never thought through, because I've never actually ran a crowdfunding campaign for any reason. And so it is a bit of marketing and sales on your own part, because you've got to get this in front of people who have the ability to help your cause, whatever it may be. So you got to think from, your sales hat, your call to action, your story, that's all right into your marketing and branding of whatever this campaign is. So tell me about so who is eligible? Go over the list again. You said it earlier, and now I cannot remember. Who is eligible to jump on this and utilize the platform? You said for tragedies. What were those other reasons?
So anybody could use the platform. Anyone.
Okay.
You don't have to be a military, medical, or first responder to use the platform. Anybody could start a campaign for a nonprofit or for somebody else. If you're doing it for yourself, you must be a verified first responder, military or medical professional, or in instances of tragic loss, a spouse. And we could verify the spouses of someone that's passed. But for the reasons to raise money, basically anything. The only thing we don't allow for on our platform is legal fees. That's it.
Okay.
So anything, if you want to raise money for whatever it may be, we will allow it because you're verifying. Yeah.
And so if I'm not sure, it's best maybe to try to start a campaign, and then you guys would, go on there, register, get your campaign set up. And then if you had any reason to come in and say no, is that how it works, or what's that process look like?
Yeah. So our team vets every single campaign as well. So we don't allow for campaigns like on some of these other platforms. When you click submit, it's up there, it's live. On our platform, there's a pop-up that happens at the end that says your campaign will be vetted by our team before going live. So we take the extra step, even though you are verifying as a first responder, military, medical professional, we take the extra step to make sure the story is true and honest, because we've had quite a few come in where, it's someone relapsing, and even though they're able to verify, it's unfortunate and they're still going through that and they're trying to raise money for drugs, whatever it may be. We're not going to allow that. And then also legal fees, all that kind of stuff. We don't allow those types of things.
Okay.
So
good to know. Yeah. Good to know. So, all right. You gave us some tips and tricks. You told us who and why, what reasons to utilize the platform. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we get ready to close out here? And before you do that, let me just tell you, if you're watching this, whether it be right now or later, drop in the comments and say hi. Make sure you tag our names so that we see that you said something to us. And ask any questions that you may have. We're here to answer any questions. And if I can't directly answer it, I'll send you over to Robert and his team, because we want to make sure that if you need this platform, it is there for you. There's also a link to it in the description of the video. It goes right to the Fund the First website. So if you're interested in just kind of exploring and poking around, jump in the video description here and click the link, and you can go look at the website and kind of see some of the campaign success stories there on there. And so, Robert, final words of wisdom, anything else that you'd like to share about Fund the First before we go here?
Sure. Yeah. So our team, we recently formed a nonprofit organization called the Fallen First Reserve. And I mentioned Callie earlier. Callie's 1-year anniversary of her passing is on Saturday. And we're actually hosting a launch of our Fallen First Reserve on Saturday. So if anyone wants to see that as well, that's fallenfirstreserve.org. It's a nonprofit organization supporting line of duty death families.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for that. And again, if you're watching this, whether it be now or later, just let us know if you have any questions, and I will make sure that we answer them for you. Thank you so much, Robert, for your time today and for everything that you've done for our community with Fund the First.
Jamie, thank you so much.